The woman spoke. What do you have to say about mental health? The tender responded. In society today, to be sad is to be unwell. To be angry is to be unwell. To be frustrated is to be unwell. To be stressed is to be unwell. And in this supposedly nurturing society, the answer is to sympathize and treat the symptom with drugs or counsel that cause a person to forget that they were correct to be sad, correct to be angry, correct to be frustrated, correct to be stressed. These symptoms, among many others, are spread through society like the symptoms of a disease, but they are not a disease. The disease is that which causes the symptoms. The disease is the disruption and deformation of social structures. It is the fact that we have allowed structures of living to arise that do not meet our inbuilt expectations, those that developed over millions of years of evolution, to move and to see the sky and to hear the birds and to understand what is in each other's eyes. In a society that is sick, people lose touch with what it is to be healthy. The sickness becomes the norm, and so any dissatisfaction with it may be taken as disruptive. The individual within the unhealthy society who reacts against it, who shows symptoms of rejection, is the healthier. He is healthy enough to not have become inured to the degrading effects of the toxin. His anger, frustration, and stress are the equivalent of his nose running when he has a cold. It is the fever when he has flu. It is the swelling when a limb is injured. It is a psychological mechanism warning the organism that something is not right, that an invasive contagion has breached the walls. And so, in the sickened society that has become inured to its illness, has accepted it, allowed it to feed, where an individual is very strong, perhaps he is able to keep the sickness at bay, he refuses to invest, refuses to enable that which he sees killing all that he loves, making mindless the vulnerable young. He refuses, and others see him as aloof and bitter, and shun him and resent him for not succumbing and engaging to stand alongside them, bound in shackles of unconditional love, in subconscious shame. Mental health is fortitude in adherence to independent, rigorous consideration and governance and action in pursuit of the objectively better. The person who does not feel shame in the sacrifice of their intelligence, and sadness in the loss of true connection, and bitterness at the systems that contributed to the loss, that person is mentally unwell. The insistence that others subscribe to failures of reason, to willful ignorance of objective reality, that insistence may only come from the mentally unwell. The true measure of mental illness is the extent to which the subjective state of the individual or society veers from objective need. Thus, mental illness can be seen reflected in the physical and the mental expression of the individual or society. The measure of mental illness is the strength of the will to adhere to objective need, the strength to keep at bay expressions of the subjective where those expressions run counter to objective need. The expression of subjective will is seen in any expression that does not represent and thus carry the influence of objective need. In the physical individual, the adherence to objective will results in a body that is strong and agile and carries in store only the energy required to keep it going until it can next feed. If food is readily available, then the body will be lean. Bears fatten up on salmon because they must hibernate through winter. Humans do not hibernate, therefore there is no need to carry extra stores of energy on the body. In the physical society, the adherence to objective will results in a society that is strong and agile, that extracts only that which is required, and that develops only those systems that encourage and nurture the healthy development of the individuals that make it up. In this way, the education of children, in the healthy society, requires all to be fast and strong, capable of protecting themselves and each other against threats. The structures of the society mirror those admired in the individual. They do not distract the individual from the objective course. They do not entice the individual from the objective course. They do not allow the corruption of individuals from the objective course. And as the society is the expression of the individuals within it, their choice governs, and their choice is to be strong and agile, lean, and determined to protect what they rightly hold dear. In the individual expression, the adherence to objective will results in a mindset that is solemn and stern, dignified and resolute, expansive in scope of view, disciplined in consideration. The expression is lean and true. The individual knows that to express is to encourage, and so he expresses only what he wishes to encourage. The individual sees clearly because he is attentive and not distracted. He collects information pertinent to the expression of objective will and then acts upon it in the honing of his own expression. Thus, the individual that adheres to objective will concentrates on elementals and not adornments. His mind protects against threats of influence in the form of ideas that disseminate like invasive seeds to distract and weaken resolve. In the societal expression, the adherence to objective will results in a society that, in its intent, mirrors the intent of the objectively minded individuals that make up the society. The society nurtures the interaction of those individuals so that, by working together, greater gains may be made. The gains in this case are not profits resulting from the weakening of the society's individuals, but rather gains in capacity and capability of consideration that may be brought to increase the well-being of all. The society encourages the enlivening of minds and the self-governance of minds so that they may be trusted to govern themselves and to maintain the equilibrium of the society in its objective course. To encourage this in the individual, the society's governance mechanisms are lean and true, and thus provide a model for the individual, just as the individual provides the model for the society. The result is a society of dignified warriors. They are warriors in body and in mind. They are disciplined to consider only their need. They do not become slack or weak or fat. They do not wish for ease and comfort. Their minds are sharp and alert, incisive in analysis, strict in logic. Their bodies, male and female, are powerful and fast and enduring. They do not spoil their environment, but rather live quietly, leaving only considered trace. They maintain their numbers that they may remain agile and not be overbearing on the environments that sustain them. The economies they create are in the trade of necessary goods, and yet there is no want for individual profit. The profit of the individual comes from the strength of the tribe and the strength of the environment that sustains it. Thus, a society does not train competitive nature within its ranks. Brother is not trained to compete against brother. Sister is not trained to compete against sister. Woman is not trained to compete against man, and thus all is shared for the common good. And in any given area, the weaker are encouraged by the stronger as they too become stronger, and their limits are known and understood, and none are allowed to fall behind. The society, like the individuals within it, must remain agile. The society does not cling to the superficialities of what it knows, but strives always for the better version, the better structure, the increased standard of perfection in its capacity. The society is not cold. The relationships between individuals within the society are not cold. They are nurturing, truly nurturing. They sleep as a pack. They are each other's pack. When they are infants, they tumble together and play, so to become strong. And then day after day in their lives, they work together and help each other and recognize each other as they recognize themselves and the environment that feeds them. And the children grow within the world of their elders and become adults as soon as they become adults, craving the responsibility of self-governance, craving the acceptance into their elders' ranks. And all sit around fire and eat and drink, and stories are told to fascinate and inspire. That is the comparison society. Those are the traits that arise when objective need is met. And so the difference of societies to that model is the measure of their subjective will embodied, the measure of their mental illness.